Welcome to the Strong Friend Podcast. We're here, you don't gotta be. I'm your host, Myko Glaze. So sit back, relax, and let's talk. What's up, everybody? It's Myko Glaze, and welcome to episode 3 of the Strong Friend Podcast. I'm going to call this episode, How Different You Trying to Be? I know, that's a crazy name, but let me tell you why I'm going to call it that. Because I've noticed that there's this boom in it's like the rise of the weirdo or the rise of the person who is different, right? So me, as somebody who likes to think of myself as fairly different from the average person, I guess, or the everyday person, I live a little bit more unorthodox. I believe in granting myself certain freedoms that people don't. I reserve the right to think in ways that people don't necessarily agree with, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, so I'm pretty different, and I do different stuff, you know. So, yeah, this is a great topic because I'm observant, and I want to see what people think, or if you agree or disagree. You know, feel free to comment wherever you're listening, and we can start a good discussion, almost like a community, you know. Before I get started for real, I want to actually thank y'all for the amazing response that the first 2 episodes got. I have people who have told me that they're excited to listen to more content, which is, it's funny, it's awkward, but I'm glad. And, you know, I'm glad that I guess the concept is catching on the way it's supposed to. I'll always be grateful for people wanting to hear what I have to say and, you know, speak back and engage and things like that. So, yeah. My first question for how different are you trying to be is what makes you different. We assign ourselves different or somebody assigns us that title or that name or that adjective. But what actually makes you different? What is it about you that isn't necessarily congruent with everyone that you experience every day? Right? Is that difference, I guess, for you, do you recognize it for yourself? Is it an intentional thing, or, you know, like, but what is it? What, like, you know, everybody can be running around in all white and you were all black. You know, you might think you're Lydia from Beetlejuice. It's like me some days, you know, or I like to listen to pop music. And in a world full of Jay-Z's, I'm going to probably listen to Pink than Jay-Z. But, you know, I love them both. But, you know, I have my preferences. I'm very different from the average. You know, everybody else was listening to, like, Ice Cube and shit when I was younger. And I used to listen to Spice Girls because that's just what I wanted to hear. I listen to a lot of rock music. I think a little bit differently. My inspirations are a little bit different, or vastly different than a lot of people that I surround myself with. But again, I send the vibe first, and then I go exist in what's there. Even that mentality is different because I'm from the hood, and I got people who think like, well, if you don't like me, I don't like you. I mean, I might be able to subscribe to some of that, but typically, if you don't like me, I'm concerned for you because, like, why don't you like me? I'm lit. But, you know, what makes you different? For me, it's not just my music choice, it's the way that I think versus a lot of people that I'm around regularly. Again, I'm a very free spirit. I'm the most tamed free spirit that you'll ever meet, but I'm a very free spirit. And so I try to maintain that wherever I am. I try not to code switch. How I woke up is how I am, and who I say I am on the internet is who I am in real life. Give or take a few things that I don't care to share, you know. But those are a few things that make me different. Also, one of my biggest differences in a lot of humanity is when I like the way I present my kindness. And the world is getting there, but I am very, very, very intentionally nice. And it's almost, some people think that I'm being facetious some days, but I'm actually not. Like I do that because I've had enough bad days to understand what it is to have one thing go right, one engagement be correct, or cordial, or just feel good. Like I'm a person who I grade how I treat people by how I didn't get treated in a good way. You know what I mean? Like I try to be the light that I seek. That's what I got this friend named Meek Perry, and she always posts that to her page, and she doesn't know, but that is something that I see often, and it reminds me, to be the light that I seek. Caroline Bennett, Caroline Expires. Shout out to both of them. She says, "Be your mark," and I love that. So I try to do that, because I've been given those, at least those two examples to exist with, and I carry that. And you can have them now if you don't know either of those people. Some good inspiration for you. Be the light that you seek and be your mark. Those are some beautiful quotes that some beautiful Black women locally to Columbus, Ohio, have come up with for us to live by, and they live by it. They every day, they are the light, and then they are the mark. And I'm grateful for those examples in real life, because there's nothing like seeing somebody do the work or live their ministry. But that's different. Those are different. There are some people who just get it, and there are some people who are discovering it, and there are some people who are just general assholes and will never get it. But you can't say it's not available in the world, because it is. Because here I am. And if they don't know that, direct them to episode 3 of Strong Friend Podcast with Myko, Glaze. So, yeah, what makes you different? That's the first thought I want you to ponder. Now, my next thought is, again, I use this paper to organize my thoughts. I'm not a digital dinosaur, but I'm also not like a digital guru yet. But when I get there, I'm gonna buy an elephant. Um, are you okay with being different? Sit with that for a second. Are you okay being the only one of you in a room? The only one who thinks like you? The only one who feels like you? The only one who loves like you, maybe? Are you okay with being different? And for me, my answer is a solid yes today. I haven't always been okay with being different. I used to want nothing more than to fit in, nothing more than to be parallel with my peers, or look like what they looked like. And we do unpacking because this is the Strong Friend Podcast. I know I speak very candidly about my mental health issues that I've come through. over the years. But there are other things, that presented as one of those things. Specifically, when I speak of like not being okay with being different at one point, is I grew up and kind of grew out of, hopefully, a lot of body image issues. And that's a funny thing to hear from a black man from the hood. You know, people don't necessarily think that those things exist for us because those are white lady problems more often than not. So you would never think that a little black boy from Columbus, Ohio, Mount Vernon Avenue / Lincoln Park would grow up bulimic or wanting to have a nose job because I felt like my black nose and my black features were not narrow enough or even enough in spaces for my face to make me feel like I look good. I also, growing up, was, I guess you could say, the chunky one of my siblings. So I used to want to be skinny like them. I used to want to fit in with, the Caucasian people that I watched on TV and hung around and things like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm from the hood, but my friends like were mostly like the white people who went to the public schools with me. So I always you know, did black adjacent things in black environments. But not feeling like I was feeling like I looked different all the time. Even when I was among my people, that was a part of me not being okay with being different. Yeah. So I used to want to be skinny. And so after I would eat, I would go, and it's not funny. This is inappropriate affect. But I would go and be a rich white lady in my bedroom in a cup or out the side window, or when nobody was looking, I would not be full anymore because I wanted my body to look a certain way. Now that I'm older, I appreciate my build. I appreciate how I look at 42 because Lord knows I don't look like what I've been through, and I damn sure don't necessarily look my age entirely. But I wasn't okay with being different. I wasn't okay with looking different. I never was bullied for my preferences. You get what I'm saying? Like I wasn't. I didn't have a whole bunch of like homophobia or things like that. Like I've always been welcome to be different. I spoke about this on a on Cloth Talk podcast when I was on there. I had cousins that loved me, so, and I got brothers and sisters that adore me. So you go to sleep messing with me because the hood really mess with me, and I mess with the hood first and back. But I knew that I was vastly different from everybody that I was around, and at one point I wasn't okay with who I was. So to even recognize that they were okay with who I was was something that it took time for. And then, I'm glad I came around to that. I'm glad I'm okay with being different because now in my adulthood, everything that made me different when I was younger makes me valuable today. I'm going to say that again because somebody needs to hear this. Everything that makes you different when you're younger will make you valuable today. I'm a creative. I'm a musician. So the fact that I have a catalog of music in my head that it ranges from everything from Jim Croce to OG Tech Nine, you know what I'm saying? Like to Beyonce, it makes me valuable because I can exist in any room. If I, my grandfather, if you know a little bit about a lot of shit, you can have a conversation with anybody. So I take that with me, and I'm okay with being different and existing in my skin and existing in my energy, because I am a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like I keep saying, I'm lit, and I really, really am. And it ranges from like if we're out partying, or if you happen to be the person who sit next to me in public, and the things that I say under my breath, they can make you uncomfortable, but they can make you so comfortable, you know. And that's the point. That's the point in being a strong friend, you know. You just know how to make people comfortable, and you know how to be different, and you're okay with being different. I'm that strong of a friend that I'm okay with myself. All right. So the last question is it actually different, or are you just being contrary and defiant? Sit with that. Because you could be the same as everybody else, but on purpose sit and disagree with everything that everybody's saying, just so you could add some sauce to the mix, right? And although varying perspectives, point of views, personalities, all of that, it takes a lot of ingredients to make a good soup or a good sauce, right? Even a sweet juice can be, different flavors. But are you being different? Are we adding strawberry and watermelon, and you are saying pickle juice because you don't want to be in the same lane or vein as everyone else as far as flavors and what you think? I don't know if that was a good analogy, but that's the one we got right now. Because I noticed that there is a wave online and sometimes in actual rooms where somebody will blurt out something that is so adjacent to the point of something just to say they are different. So now you're just being a contrarian. Now, I'll say this. When it comes to the word defiant, that's real gray for me, because sometimes I personally just like to see how far I can push the envelope. I'm not an antagonist, but I definitely like to provoke thought, especially when there's something else that's not being considered. So it comes off as defiant to people sometimes. Like I just want to go against the grain, but I don't. What I want to happen is for there to be multiple grains for us to go with, if you want us to follow. Some of the most beautiful some of the most beautiful paintings and tapestries are made with different patterns. So there is another perspective that can be had. There is another way to see or think, or another groove that we can be into. Some of the most beautiful songs have instruments that you never thought you would hear together, but they make a beautiful song. But if you come in with the wrong thing, the wrong key, making the wrong noise at the wrong time, it just kind of creates, it takes the chord from that to like, I don't know, it's just obnoxious. So are you being different? Are you, it's just being defiant and contrary to things just to get a rise. If you need 5 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact, say that. Don't come and mess it up for everybody. But we're okay with you being different. You can be here and be different. You can be in life and be different. But I don't want to tell you what's appropriate or inappropriate, but sometimes people don't use their grown brains. And sometimes they are using their grown brains, but their grown brains have not grown. So we're always going to leave grace for that. But yeah, I come back to the question though. How different you trying to be? Like, have you explored what difference is? Um, what makes you different? What about you is different? And can you change that just a little bit to enhance how it's received? That's another thing, are you willing to, or are you willing to walk in it and come what may as it? Are you comfortable with that? And is it really different, or are you just defiant and a contrarian as it stands? Is that your hobby? I'm petty. I have my petty moments. I have my contrarian moments. I have my defiant days. But I also know that I can be different and not be upsetting or offensive. I also know that I can be different and not say anything about how different I am, because I don't have to make an announcement. Are you honoring your journey in being different? Are you being the best version of difference that you can be? How does that work for you? I know I'm honoring my journey every day. I'm making sure that the things that I do align with how different I am. I make sure everything that I do is different from the last thing that I do, because there's so many levels and layers to me that it'll all look different, but my intention will always be the same. My heart behind everything will always remain the same. That won't be different. I will always be kind. I will never excuse goodness from myself. I'm not doing that. And that's different. And I'm okay with that. And I'm also okay with putting myself in a different room if the room that I'm in isn't for me. How different you trying to be? I'm so different. I'm trying to be somewhere else, and I leave. I'm the king of. I'm not coming, bro, because I might be too different for what's going on. But who knows? Well, with that said, I am Myko Glaze, and thank you for listening to episode 3 of the Strong Friend podcast. And yeah, I hope to speak with you guys soon. So I did decide that I'm going to do 4 episodes a week. They're going to be a little bit shorter episodes, but I think 2 at the beginning and 2 at the end is healthy, and I can maintain that. So yeah, again, I am Myko Glaze. Thank you for listening to episode 3 of Strong Friend podcast, and I will talk to y'all later. Thank you for tuning in to the Strong Friend podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on all social media.